I started off really skinny myself. I struggled a lot with confidence, struggled a lot with anxiety, was quite insecure in my body.
On all of our mentorship calls, anybody asks about content, what's the strategy? I always say copy people. Any smart entrepreneur will take other people's success, learn from it, and put their own spin on it, because it just fast tracks the process.
To begin with, I think I was doing about £100 a month when I first started. I think it was even cheaper than that. It was about £80 a month when I first started. And
like fast forward back to like your first like 5-10K a month and stuff like that. What were you doing to achieve that? I suppose it was just, I know it was content, but
yeah,
do you want to elaborate on it?
How I got to 5 to 10K months, it was literally just through social media. That's all it was. Social media, posting on my story, people reaching out to me, and then eventually I was producing transformations, of course, and then as soon as I post a transformation, someone comes to me.
Having achieved this high success now, being able to earn an incredible amount of money, how has that changed, your life? Have you been able to, I suppose, do things that you've always dreamed of? What does that look like for you?
It hasn't changed my life hugely, because I'm always wanting to work towards more. So I'm always working. So I still eat the same, I train at the same times, I do the same things. It's just nice knowing that I am secure.
If you're a fitness coach wanting to scale your business to earn an incredible amount of money, but also impact as many lives as possible, today we have the honor of speaking to one of our superstar clients, Ollie Rhoda in Troy's Inner Circle. Thank you for coming on, my man.
It's a pleasure to be here, mate.
Yeah, you were just on a podcast before with Sean doing up some reels, clips and stuff, right?
Yeah, just clipping up some bits, hopefully get a few viral clips there. We'll see how it goes, yeah.
Hopefully some in this too.
Yeah.
You have a good story, so let's get through it. For anybody that doesn't know who Ollie is, can you give a bit of a brief background? How are you here? You're in Dubai, sunny Dubai, living the life. How'd you get here?
Of course. So I started my online coaching business around 4 years ago now. So been posting on social media for about 5 years, I'd say, in terms of posting fitness, transformations, a little bit about my journey. I started off really skinny myself, struggled a lot with confidence, struggled a lot with anxiety, was quite insecure in my body, didn't get picked on, but I get a lot of names saying skinny arms or
sly remarks.
Yeah, which of course hits home a little bit. So it made me really get into the gym and really work on myself. So that's kind of where I started from. So I started building muscle, packing on size, transformed myself from a skinny lad to someone who packed on a decent amount of muscle. And then once I started posting on social media, I was getting a lot of questions asked really, and I was giving it out for free, and then eventually kind of went down the online coaching route.
Interesting. When you first, I know our first kind of like, what would you say, conversation at least was, I think it was on Instagram, right? And it was when I first initially started doing the Yo Troys, and then you started doing the
Oi Boys.
Yeah. I remember that so well. Whenever somebody says Ollie's still to this day, it just rings in my head. I'm like, Oi Boy.
Yeah.
That was when it really started to take off, wasn't it? Around that time.
Yeah.
What do you feel like changed in your social media, I suppose, at least strategy, that allowed you to gain this following to, of course, help you grow business-wise?
I started to research a lot more, really. So I started to research a lot more into kind of algorithms and what was working, and I started taking basically inspiration from other people like yourself. Yeah. So, of course, pretty much copied you, to be honest, but so as you do the two people, and it's almost like you're almost like acting as two different people, right? And I was doing that, and I was getting loads and loads of views. I still get some people who message me say, "Oh, I've been following you since the old boy days." I used to get rinsed for doing it when I used to go out in public, but it's good. If it works, it works. Right?
It works, exactly. Yeah. And I think the funny thing is, I always say, and I say it on all of our mentorship calls, anybody asks about content, what's the strategy? I always say copy people.
Yeah.
Some people will get very, very upset about that and be like, you shouldn't be copying other people's success. But any smart entrepreneur will take other people's success, learn from it, and put their own spin on it, because it just fast tracks the process. So when I see somebody copying my video, I'm like, fair fucking play, guy's smart. If I see somebody not copying my video, I'm like, fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? So when I saw you doing your thing, I was like, good man. And that's when it really started to take off. You've been in multiple different mentorships and stuff like that. And now you're obviously, of course, inside mine. What do you feel like was the biggest switch as to, I suppose, why would you go towards another mentorship, having been in other ones and seeing good success? But what was the reason for you to at least think about me?
There was a couple of things. One was accountability, which you've been perfect with the whole way through. Same day responses, and I message you every day and I feel like everyone who is going to be successful in business should be asking as many questions as possible. And so I ask you questions all the time. I knew I get on well with you, because I can just tell your personality. You're similar. Well, I'm a bit older than you, but you're similar age range and similar banter. Like, everything's like back and forth, where I know that I could actually take the information from you, so I could dissect it. Whereas other mentors, in my mind, I might not understand what they're saying, and wouldn't want to just keep asking them questions and not making sense. Whereas it's very transparent with you. You're very direct and to the point, and I knew that was going to be the case going into it. So that was one reason. The second reason was because you've got a similar profile to myself in terms of followers, in terms of kind of persona, everything. So I know if you've done it, you can give me all the information and I can go down the exact same route, which is what I'm doing at the moment, really.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you touched on there is like the same day responses. And I've been in some of the mentorships you've been in and stuff like that as well. And one thing that I've just, it's like a turn off, right? When you ask a question and it takes days upon days to get a response back, it stops you asking another question, and you sometimes just go and do your own research, which defeats the purpose of the investment, you know? So that's why when I first initially spoke to you, I was like, that's one of the biggest things ever. Like, and before I launched the Trojan Scaling Circle, I was like, how can I ensure that this never drops? Yeah. You know? Of course, we're constantly implementing things to better the service, but one thing that will never go is how quick the responses is. Mostly because I actually fucking enjoy what I do. You know, like when you text me, sometimes it's actually a fucking laugh. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, fucking dickhead, you wouldn't believe what happened. Do you know what I mean? But let's go back to, I suppose, when you first started online coaching. You know, of course, the video started popping off. You started selling your service. Like, did you go down any routes of, I suppose, what you would call trialed and failed? Like, did you try any different things that just didn't necessarily work?
So, yeah, I was doing all sorts of things. When I first started, I was charging next to nothing, not really charging.
What was it, out of curiosity?
To begin with, I think I was doing about £100 a month when I first started. I think it was even cheaper than that. It was about £80 a month when I first started. And as me and you both know, when you're charging that much, the only people who are paying that are younger guys, really. Guys who are 18, 19, 20. And also people who pay for cheap programs, they're not going to see results. And you have to deal with such havoc all the time. Whereas now things have changed to a point where the guys I get in are my ideal kind of audience, and they get great results. They love it. They love the service. My service has improved massively over the years, and now I'm in a position where I'm really, really pleased with my service. I think it's brilliant. And that's why sometimes when people don't take action, I'm like, why? If you've got the money, it will change your life.
Absolutely. But I think low ticket service attracts low ticket clients.
Yeah, right? That's it. Yeah.
And low ticket clients often come with, you know, they often expect the most.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They often expect you to call them every single morning and stuff like that. It's because, of course, their understanding behind a good quality service hasn't been built yet. They haven't been part of other coaching systems. They don't really know what to expect. So we can't necessarily blame them. When you switch to your ICA, your ideal client avatar, you know, what is that? I know, but they don't.
Yeah. So my ideal client are guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s as well. Guys, busy working professionals. So it's a lot about structure. So they need the right structure in place in order to achieve their goal. Because it's all well and good having the knowledge, but if you can't execute, then you're never going to get yourself to where you want to be. So it's guys who work busy jobs, so we need to plan around in terms of routine. And yeah, guys who are in kind of 9-to-5s or business owners, CEOs. If I've got a wide range of guys, but guys 30s, 40s, 50s, I'd say.
Generally always busy professionals.
Busy professionals, men as well, always men.
Okay. And for people that are looking to go down this route, whether it be busy professionals or females or males, it doesn't really matter. But one thing that's so important is obviously, of course, understanding pain points and stuff like that, right? When you're going into an ICA, you need to solve a pain point. When you don't solve a pain point, you're basically selling a high ticket service for a low ticket return, right? And that's where the money is made, is of course you being able to solve people's pain. What is your industry's biggest pain points?
Lack of confidence. So many guys can't take their top off when they're abroad. They look at themselves in the mirror and they feel ashamed. They can't even really look at themselves in the mirror. I've had guys who say they walk past and try and look away, basically. So confidence is a massive one. Also, guys who have kids who can't spend quality time with them because they're low in energy, so they can't play football in the park, they can't do anything with them really without huffing and puffing. And also on that note, a lot of guys who want to give off good habits to their kids because they've realized that from where they're at, they're so out of shape that they're not really giving the right habits off to their kids in terms of eating habits, in terms of health and so on. So yeah, I'd say confidence, I'd say giving off good habits to family, and also productivity. Guys who want to be energized for work and they want to excel in their career, where at the moment they're crashing at 3-4 p.m. and they're not getting enough done.
Okay. And that for a father is like worth the world, you know, to be able to spend time with their children. And you don't want to be one of those guys in the dad bod that are just fucking, you know, as you said, the common beer belly dad bod, walking in constantly out of energy, sweating, going upstairs, all that type of shit that you shouldn't be dealing with. And you're being able to put a stop at this. So I like to look at it as like you have a superpower to fucking change these guys' lives. And when they compare the quality of life, you know, when they look back at the investment, it's like a water off a duck's back. They're like, I would do it again 10 times over. It's just about getting them over the line. Since you've been working with me, I suppose, how have you found getting people over the line when, I suppose, maybe they don't believe in themselves, they give common objections like, you know, I need to think about, or now is probably not the right time. What has been the biggest game changer for you in, I suppose, the sales process?
I'd say it's allowing the potential client to actually visualize where they're going to be. So where they're going to be in 6 months or 12 months time. Because if I actually put it in perspective and say, look, in 12 months time, how's it going to make you feel if you can spend time with your family and you're giving off good habits to them and they excel in their life and you're at a point where you are confident in yourself and you can take your top off abroad and feel good, and you don't have to wear massive oversized jumpers in the middle of summer. Like, how would that make you feel? And when they start to actually visualize it, that's when they feel, right, this is so important, because they actually start to think, how much of a priority is this on my life? And usually, well, 9 times out of 10, it's the most important factor, because if you get yourself in shape, it's going to benefit you in all areas. So it's going to benefit you in terms of social life, in terms of everything really, longevity and so on, business as well, and you can progress in your career and whatnot. So since being with you, that's been the real game changer really, is that you have helped me help the client understand how important it is for their life. Whereas beforehand it was a lot like, look, here's the program, here's training plan, nutrition plan, chat system, blah, blah, blah. And they look at it and think, oh yeah, I'll think about it, see if it's going to suit my life, because they haven't actually thought about the ins and outs of why they want to get themselves to where they want to be. And this is the same why when people say, I need to speak to my partner, and their partner says, oh, you don't want to invest in that, like you can do it yourself. But the partner doesn't know the ins and outs of how that individual feels, and how this guy has told me he's suicidal, he can't take his top off even whilst having sex with his partner, and he can't take his top off abroad, and every day he wakes up in a low mood and all this stuff, and men don't speak about that to their partners. So that's kind of an objection which I say to them, look, have you talked about the ins and outs to your partner? And they say, no, I've never spoke about it. Because if they did, then and they actually spoke about how they're feeling about their body and how it's affecting their life, their partner would say, go ahead and 100% do this. And you've helped me kind of delve into that. Absolutely.
I think with sales being such a big part of the process of whether you make money or don't make money, right? Or even if you wanted to call it like you help the client or don't help the client, there's a couple of different things that people always fall down on. Number one is what you were kind of talking about, is conviction, is how much you can help them. Number one, believe in it through your confidence within your program. If you're sitting there just speaking to the client, just being like, yep, so a meal program, obviously customized to you, workout programs, we have a cool app on the App Store, they're just thinking feature based. But if you delve into, of course, why why this is the solution to a program, what is the solution that you're solving, and how are they going to feel after the solution is done, you know, that's where you can allow them to think from a perspective of results. That's worth a whole lot more money. And when you have conviction and pure confidence that you can help them get from where they are right now, low state, suicidal, not sexually active, whatever it may be, to a point of extreme confidence, like that's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And the good thing is your program doesn't cost $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And then of course, selling features, which I kind of tipped on there. That's a big one, because I had reviewed a couple of your calls initially, and you have the confidence. I think from the very first call that I saw, you don't have lack of confidence on calls. You're quite capable of speaking to new people every single day. But within the sales process, I know you had issues challenging people.
Yeah.
Like when somebody did give you that common objection of, I need to speak to my partner, it was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Get back to me, you know? Yeah. And oftentimes that can be the case where you do need to speak to the partner, but it also can be a get out of jail free card of, please let me off this call. I don't want to face my fears.
Yeah.
Your job as a coach is to help them face their fears and break them.
And recently, since help with you, is that I'm getting less and less objections now, because I cover everything now. I go in the ins and outs of kind of their life and why they want to get themselves to where they want to be, where what I've gone through is so important to them. There's a lot less of, I need to speak to my partner, I need to think about it, or I need to check my finances. Most of the time, they want to go ahead with the program now, which is a lot of stress off my back. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I don't have to deal with it.
That's it. I'm so glad you brought that up as well. He's referring to pre-handle objections, and that's the best way you can go about sales. And I remember it wasn't you, but it was one of the guys in the mentorship. They reviewed one of my calls that I had recorded as a sample, and they said to me, Troy, this is like, the calls aren't really helpful. And I was like, why do you feel like they're not helpful? Because you don't get hit with any objections. And I'm like, that's the fucking point. A good salesman can handle objections, but a great salesman can pre-handle objections to a point where they don't actually need to speak it, they can sense it. And this is where we add in temperature checks, like the scale of 1 to 10 that we were talking about prior, or where you implement little simple questions at the start of the call. Does anybody need to be with us before we jump into things that would affect your decision? They'll tell you the objection towards the start of the call before you pitch the price, which makes the whole journey a whole lot more easier, because they're thinking purely not from a price perspective, but from program only.
Of course.
Easier to isolate. Let's go back to where you first started, right? You got into fitness, you started gaining some muscle, of course, the confidence started to come in. Social media started to blow up. What was the first blow up for you? Like, did you go from 0 to 100 overnight, or what was that kind of blow up like?
So, I started getting a couple of kind of viral posts where followers wouldn't go up loads, but I started learning what was successful in social media posts. So I started getting an idea in terms of hooks, in terms of what's going to do well, in terms of dropping the follow for more mid video, also doing the little clips and what can keep kind of the audience attention through the video. And once I started to learn a little bit about algorithms, then I started just repeating, rinse and repeat. And then eventually I feel like I nailed it just before I was coming out to Dubai. So I think I got up to about 60k followers on Instagram before I was coming out to Dubai. Bearing in mind, I'd been doing it for probably 3 years at that point. So, and from 60 now I've grown to 215 within a year, because now I've nailed it and I know what to do. So there is a strategy behind it, basically.
Absolutely. A load of fitness coaches, making around 5 to 10k a month at the moment, will say a common term of, I don't want to be like everybody else, which is why it was been such a breath of fresh air working with you, because you don't mind rinsing and repeating the same videos. And I try and make it clear to coaches, your viewer doesn't keep that much attention to you. They probably follow 20 other fitness coaches. You have made the exact same viral video at least 250 times.
Yeah.
And it keeps going viral because it's like it's a new piece of information. You have to remember, when you post a piece of content, like let's just say a chest workout, right? That client doesn't, or that lead, you could call it, or viewer doesn't save it and immediately solve their problems. They'll save it, forget about it. They'll save your next video. They're probably all returning viewers. Do you know what I mean? And that's the important thing, is whatever is working, you need to nail down on. I hate when fucking coaches say, I don't want to be like everybody else.
Yeah. Ego is the biggest killer to success, because I've spoke to so many coaches who say, I don't want to be talking to the camera. Like, I know I'm well aware that my videos are cringy as fuck. Like I know that but it does well, and it helps me grow my business, and it helps me help more people and transform more lives. So I'm going to keep doing it. Whereas some coaches say, I don't want to be talking to the camera, shouting at it, talking about 3 biggest tips to grow your arms and whatnot. And it's like, fine, you can do the aesthetic things where whatever you do, you're running down a road with a drone and get no clients, and they continue to do that for years. And I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's just a type of way. It's like it's making them feel better about their lack of effort and their laziness, right? It's like in business, this is the whole reason why everybody isn't a business owner. It's because you have to do shit that you don't want to do. You know, like I think you've came to the terms now. I got to do content. I'll book in. I just got to fucking do it, and there's no other way around it. But even when I first met you, like you were on ball with content, but even tracking stats, right? And that's what kind of brought you to up towards the next level, which we'll go into. But things that you don't want to do, you just have to fucking do it. And there's otherwise you can't expect to grow, and you can't sit there and bitch and complain that you haven't grown if you're not willing to face the fear of doing new things. And talking to the camera, I'm aware like my videos are cringy as fuck too. I mean, I talk to myself.
Yeah.
Like how more cringier can you get? Do you know what I mean? But I think you can even see it in my videos now. I even enjoy it just because I know they're cringy. I even add some zestiness in it as well, just to make it even funnier. And people love it. You know, the clients fucking love it because it's making their educational viewing journey a whole lot more entertaining.
Of course.
Instead of, guys, you need to walk on the treadmill for 25 minutes. It's like, shut the fuck up, you big steroid head. Do you know what I mean? In regards to, I suppose, right, the transition between your previous mentorship, you're doing great in, you know, anybody else's dream. You were, what was the average months?
At the moment?
No. In your previous mentorship.
I was probably doing about 35K consistently. I'd say 30 to 35K consistently. I had one big month, but 30 to 35K.
Yeah. And in regards to, I suppose, the switch, right? Because you joined me in your very first month, of course, tripled your investment, of course, but got up to your new PB month, right? Which was
63, I think. Yeah, I
think it was 65. 65, I think. But now, right, even on months that were like as a byproduct of your big month, you're still achieving high numbers.
Yeah. What
was the biggest switch, I suppose, as opposed to your previous strategy to this strategy?
I'd say, first of all, it is the accountability. It's back and forth. It's because I knew that with you. I knew that if I could, if I was talking to you, I'd get the response straight away, and it would be back and forth, and then I could actually get things done sooner. Whereas beforehand, it was like, I'll ask this question, it would take a couple of days, and it would take weeks for me to actually implement anything. Whereas right now with you, I ask you a question and I implement it straight away on that day, and things have been so quick. But it's also everything. I had a lot in place previously, but I didn't have things in the back end. You're good in terms of systems. I didn't have any systems in the back end, so welcome pages, any automations, which my previous mentor had. It's just that I knew that I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own, really. Where, of course, they do provide the support, but it would take a while to do so, and I'd probably get confused. Whereas you, I remember the first call with you, you took control of my screen and done it for me, and I was like, that's what I needed, like, because that's the stuff I hate. I hate systems. You love systems. I hate all that. I love content. I love consultation calls, but I don't like systems, and you sorted that for me. And then what I also hate is tracking numbers, whereas of course all mentors tell you to track numbers. My previous mentor did as well, but I just didn't do it. Whereas you've been on me, like if I'm not tracking the numbers, you're like, what are you doing? Like, you need to track the numbers. And so that's helped as well. I
feel like everybody's strategy is pretty much the same. You know, of course there's little things that I do that other people don't do, and no strategy is, unless you're extreme retard, you know, are wrong. It's just about how the information is portrayed, how it's laid out, and how accountable you are held to seeking in this information. You know, if you don't show up to a weekly call, I'm like, dude, where are you? Do you know what I mean? Which is fair enough, of course. You know, some people have shit going on, you know, and you might have an event. But in regards to, I suppose, you being present, you know, I want to make sure you get your money's worth. But because if you don't, it's just going to be a future problem for me. And that's where client management comes in. I would rather, like, I suppose, as I said, like with pre-handling objections versus taking the objections, I don't want to be a problem solver. I want to be that type of person that doesn't ever raise problems. Do you know what I mean? Therefore, my life is always easy. I suppose, like, let's be real. You're in a position that other people would be like, I cannot fucking wait to be in his position, or I really want to enter their dream. Let's fast forward back to you, like your first like 5-10K month and stuff like that. What were you doing to achieve that? I suppose it was just, I know it was content, but do you want to elaborate on it?
So that must have been when I started doing 5 to 10K months. It would have been 4 years ago, I think, or three and a half years ago, maybe. And the coaching has changed so much since then. that was when you'd have your website, people would come inbound for you, they'd apply for the coaching, you reach out, you jump on a call, and then you get the client going. Yeah. Whereas now it's different because it's always changing. That's why it's always good to have a mentor, because it's always evolving. There's lots of things coming in, AI, there's different systems, things in the back end. Whereas now, you need to be having conversations with people, with your followers, which is something that I'd never do when I was on 5 to 10K months. So that's a real difference. It is actually giving out free guides and starting a conversation and starting conversation with new followers, because then you're talking to so many people and you can help so many more people. So that's a real game changer. But how I got to 5 to 10K months, it was literally just through social media. That's all it was. Social media, posting on my story, people reaching out to me, and then eventually I was producing transformations, of course. And then as soon as I post a transformation, someone comes to me. And then from 5 to 10K, how it transitioned all the way up is that I started doing other things, and I started giving out lead magnets, giving out free guides. I started reaching out to people, and then also I started taking free courses from mentors. That took me from 5 to 10K all the way up to 20K just from taking free courses from other mentors. So I was at 20K before I even joined my first mentorship, just from that. So it's just about going out and actually taking action and getting the knowledge from people, because if someone's done it themselves, they're going to be able to teach you, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, a funny thing that you mentioned there was, of course, you'd done your content, you were getting them through the website and stuff like that. Yeah. And now that's like, remove the website from it. You can't expect nothing through it. And things are constantly evolving. Like, I would say I switch my business strategy at least 2 times a month. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And even like, it was funny on last week's mentorship call, I think it was last week, but anyway, Sean had came in and he goes, I wasn't aware that we were changing script around. And I was like, yeah, no one was aware we're changing it now. And he was like, why are you changing it? I was like, because it needs to be better. It's like, we constantly fucking changing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you miss out on one call, you're like, your age is behind. We've made so much adjustments. And that's why I always say, I will never ever invest in another mentor again that's out of the game. That's sold their fitness business. I understand some people have done amazing, There's some mentorships that have sold their fitness business for $10 million and now their main priority is, mentorship. But if they aren't up to date with the strategies, with the new systems on how you can potentially delegate, what's the newest meta to hire staff, like even just when you were hiring your first staff member with me, the strategy is completely different now to if you were to hire a staff member right now. And that's only 2 months. Yeah, and that
was really good, actually. I had so many applications from it,
Which one are you referring to?
Facebook groups, Yeah,
Facebook groups. Just for anyone that's aware, we join, like, I'm sure it was like appointment setter Facebook groups, right? Or digital nomads from, America, these type of things. And just type in a post, say, we're hiring. And then, of course, they reach out to your messenger and just book in interviews, One thing that I suppose you had improved with the interview process, because of course, when you're hiring, I always say to people, you need to be able to fire fast, but hire fast as well. But a common mistake within hiring is that people rush. The quality is bad. They'll bring the person in, person won't perform, and then they'll blame the setter. All right. When in all due respect, I always say that the setter is never the issue. Any setter can be trained. It's always the CEO. How they train it, what process is involved, and plus, you're the motherfucker that hired them. So could you not see that like the person was a bit of a retard prior to hiring? Do you know what I mean? So whenever somebody says that to me, I instantly go, you're the issue. But you've been quite good with that in terms of the hiring process. I think it's because you're quite picky, I'm quite picky, and that's why we were both mutually agreed on some of the applications. One of the things we implemented though, wasn't it? It was basically what we do is post, and then they would reach out to Messenger. On Messenger, it would go straight to a type form. Am I correct in saying that? And then the type form would have a Loom video link. And then from the Loom video, you would set up the interview. That's like 3 phases that they have to get through. And if they don't make one fuck up within those 3 phases, like mention that they want to be an agency owner, they're bad English, their Loom video lagged with Wi-Fi connection. All of these things, if there's no red flags, this person's good to go. And it's not going to be a waste of time with an interview.
Definitely. And it all comes back down to laziness. Again, why people they're not succeeding. Because as you said, me and you, we're both quite similar. We're both driven. We both want to be successful. We don't want to be wasting time with setters who aren't good enough or not training them properly. Where I can tell just through a person's personality. If I'm speaking to coaches and they've said to me, "Oh, my setters are horrendous," I know what they're like. I know they're lazy. I know they haven't trained them well. I know they haven't hired well. Where they've just hired the first person they've interviewed and then they haven't even trained them and just let them do what they want. Which that's not going to be. You're not going to get a successful business from that. So I'm extremely picky because it saves you time in the future. And you're the same. Yeah.
With you achieving this obviously high level of success and being able to getting up to eventually averaging like 65k months and soon to come 100k months, absolutely no doubt about it. We obviously know, we've spoke privately about the things that we need to implement in order to get there. Going to be a work in progress, doesn't happen overnight of course, but it will definitely get there. I suppose where I was going with that is, having achieved this high success now, being able to earn an incredible amount of money, how has that changed, your life? Have you been able to, I suppose, do things that you've always dreamed of? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I've moved to Dubai, of course. So that was, of course, from getting up to about 20k a month. So that's that was a real goal for me because I knew I needed to be here for so many reasons. One, because I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to really drive the business further. So that was really important to me. Obviously, tax reasons is good to be in Dubai. Everything in terms of the sun, in terms of gyms, in terms of the people you're around, I knew I needed to get here. And I feel like you need to, in my opinion, I think you need to have at least kind of 10k months before you move to Dubai.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to be fucking scraping.
Yeah, definitely. So that was one thing I could do. It hasn't changed my life hugely because I'm always wanting to work towards more. So I'm always working. So I still eat the same. I train at the same times. I do the same things. It's just nice knowing that I am secure. And I struggle to take time off really because if I'm like, I get anxiety, like, I could be doing this. Eventually I will get to that point where I do offload a lot more, but at the moment when I'm young, I just feel like it's important to keep, well, I'm not that young anymore, but just to keep
just for everyone's reference, what, you're 27
now.
27. It was your birthday last week?
Yeah.
How was it? Good?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Do you mind a tiny bit?
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. That's the thing. I went out drinking and then it sets you back for 3-4 days. That's why I can't really do what I want. Obviously, I love going out drinking, but I stopped that once I got into the coaching business. Really.
Absolutely. Well, in regards to, I suppose, life changing and people look at this as, oh, I want to get to 20k months and then I can just fucking sit back, travel the world. And if you have that mentality where you're content with 20k months and then you decide to enjoy your life afterwards, it's mad how quickly that 20k can go back down to zero.
Yeah.
You'll lose it just as fast, if even faster, than you gain it. All right. And that's something that you need to be never content, never complacent with your income, and look at that as just a general benefit, of course, to security and stuff like that. Don't have that as your sole focus. Instead of focusing on numbers, you should focus on how much clients you impact. It should be how many staff members you hire. And when you focus on these measures, it's very easy not to get complacent, because when everybody hears 10k a month, they're like, oh my God, it's fucking holidays, it's fucking beer, it's whatever it is, you know? Yeah. And that's something that's going to allow you to get to 100 and then 200 and then continue to grow after that, is because you're never going to sit there and go, right, I deserve to never work again. Yeah. I don't get that mindset. You know?
I don't think, because I always had in my head that I do want freedom and that's a goal for me. Whereas realistically, I wouldn't be able to function with all that free time. If I wasn't working, I'd be itching, and because I'm itching now. Whenever I'm not productive, I'm like, oh fuck, I've just had 2 hours, haven't been productive, and I'm like annoyed with myself. Yeah. So if I did outsource everything, I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't be happy. So it's always good to keep progressing because you're always working towards new goals. But it's good knowing that if I wanted to be free, I can be free, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But even with taken from a perspective of my business, it is technically full delegated. I can go on holidays. The business will probably earn more, like I told you about my trips prior. But the thing is, I'm fucking sitting there, I'm looking at a blank screen, I'm like, I have to put some tasks on this board. Yeah. And that's when you have a true passion, and my passion is still very much fitness coaching. I love it, the fact that the impact that we can have on lives, which you spoke about earlier, your demographic is pretty much the exact same as mine. Yeah. I just end up sitting there just like scrolling through my clients' profiles, making new programs. I'm just like, I've got the fucking time, so I may as well work, you know?
Yeah.
But that's one thing that a lot of people are scared of, delegation.
Yeah.
Right? Now, of course, you've got a coach, you've got setters, and you've got most of the jobs that are supposed tedious to do delegated. Was that scary when you first delegated anything?
Yeah, when I first got a coaching, it was, because I actually felt that, oh, this could negatively impact the service here. Whereas since getting a coach, my two coaches are more qualified than me, and they're actually better coaches than me, and they're producing amazing results, and it's grown the service further because it's allowed me to focus more time on multiple touch points, on basically just improving the service. I'm now at a point where I believe I give a phenomenal service, and I know that because I know what guys say to me at the end of the process, where we're on calls and they're saying, you've changed my life and I've dropped this much and I can do this, which I couldn't previously. My confidence has improved. And I just believe that since delegating everything, it's made the service so much better. It's produced better results. People are happier. It's got the right client base in. And at first it is scary because it's something you've never done before. But if you do it right and you train your team well, they'll perform better than you, and it allows you to actually monitor everything and make the service even better. Yeah.
That's the whole beauty of business, is because if you are very, very picky with your delegation and you're scared of doing so, you never take the risk, you never get the reward. And that's when, like, the biggest problem I see is most coaches are stuck in delegation, or are stuck in fulfillment.
Yeah.
They're sitting there doing endless amount of check-ins, and they've actually gotten to a point where they don't have a check-in day anymore.
Yeah.
It's consistently split over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, Fridays. And at that point, you literally have no fucking life, because it's wake up, it's check-ins, it's go to sleep, it's check-ins, and that's the only thing that process on your mind.
This doesn't grow at that point.
The business doesn't grow because you're working in the business instead of on the business. Whereas opposed, if you had a coach that was arguably giving a better service, I even said it myself, my coach in my head coach in the Trojan Coaching is so much better than me. Even when I listen to his check-ins, sometimes I learn something.
Yeah. I'm the same.
I'm like, fuck yeah, facts. Because I will review all the check-ins to make sure the process is always going smoothly. But in regards to that, then that allows you to sit back in your office chair and say, okay, well, what can I be doing to, number one, make my staff members grow even more? They want more clients, they want more income, they want more security. So your job as a CEO is to get as much clientele, give them to them, and continue the growing process.
Yeah.
You just need to look as their coach, you need to look after them.
You've got to be a good leader and a good business owner to build a successful business and make sure your service is good, because as I said earlier, so many people half-heart it and their business goes downhill, whereas my setters are brilliant. I've trained them well, they're brilliant, they're really, really good. My two coaches are brilliant. One of them's got a master's in strength and conditioning, the other one's done bodybuilding shows, really, really knowledgeable, and they produce fantastic results. And it's because you have to be picky at who you're hiring. So all of my staff are so good, and that's where so many people go wrong. They don't even bother hiring staff, isn't it? And if they do, they get the wrong ones, or they get the right ones and don't train them right. So
the biggest issue, though, which I've said to you before, your business solely lies on one staff member, right?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Me.
No, one staff member.
Oh, what, your setter?
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Your frontliner. You said me. I was nice. Do you mean like paying yourself a salary? No, in regards to one person that will fuel your entire business growth, it's your setter. Yeah. But it's the one that's overlooked the most by people making 5 to 10K a month. It's overlooked the most, and they try to do it themselves, and they're inconsistent. Therefore, lead generation's inconsistent. Therefore, fucking revenue's inconsistent, you know? That's been the biggest change for you since watching you grow from a point of, you know, as I said, 30 up until nearly 70K months. It's been the setter management, you know? And of course, prior to this, I feel like you were micromanaging them. I feel like a bit too much. I feel like you were screenshotting everything, you know, you're like, fucking do better. You were doing this, you were doing that. But now to a point, I feel like you've a bit more of like a back seat, and, you know, you do daily meetings with them, whatever. But I think most importantly, they have trust in you now because you're focusing on content. You're giving them the work, but you're also providing the training materials for them to be better at their job, therefore make more money, right? The management of your setters from 3 months ago to now, can you notice a huge improvement in their, I suppose, overall skill?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Just from reviewing everything and giving them the feedback and having multiple touch points with them. Yeah, they're doing really well.
What was the biggest mistake that your DM setters were making 3 months ago as opposed to now?
All sorts, really. They were booking calls too quickly. They weren't getting any pain in the DMs. So, yeah, it was almost to the point where so many people would just ignore me because there was not a actual human conversation going on. Whereas that's changed, and they've been trained really well. And also it's rewarding as well. If you manage your team well, my setters, for example, I've got a couple in the Philippines, I've got one in Canada, one he's from the UK, but he's based in Vietnam. And my Filipino setters say to me, "You've changed my life here. You've paid for this. You've paid for this." And I'd say, "Well, it's you. You're performing really well, and it's rewarding. It's how you grow your business."
Absolutely. I think one thing that I don't want to let slip that you just touched on there was, booking calls too fast and not having a human-like conversation. When I review DMs from you guys or anybody in the mentorship, or even just if I was to do a favor or whatever, when I review DMs, the first thing I look at is I imagine myself in a conversation with a normal human being the first time I've ever met them in the middle of a street in Tesco's. They followed me. Let's just say they came over to be like, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram." I read the messages as like I was picturing myself in that type of situation. And if I even say like, I wouldn't fucking say that. That would be weird if I said that. The chap would be like, "This lad's a creep." Do you know what I mean? That's the first way I can tell whether the setter isn't just like putting themselves in like a human-like shoe. And it's like when somebody says to you, it's like, "Yeah, man, the reason why I want to start this at the moment is because my doctor just told me that my blood pressure's through the roof. He's going to put me on medication." And then my setter turns around and goes, yeah, cool, get you. And then goes on, "All right, well, how much weight do you want to lose in the next 12 months? I sit there and I'm nearly pulling my hair out. I'm like, for fuck's sake. If that chap said it to me in person, I'd be like, fuck, no way, really? Yeah, we need to try to find a way around that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And when you put yourself in those shoes of like a human-like conversation, you're going to have so much reviews for your setters almost instantly, And then you tipped on there, booking calls too fast in the DMs. It's like as soon as somebody shows some sort of interest towards your coaching, it's like, "Oh, quick, book a call, send them the link, let's get that done." Where in regards to sales resistance and of course how they're fitting in their DMs, they know what's coming because they've just inquired about your service, right? But we're talking strictly inbound leads. Their guard's gonna be up. As soon as you ask for a call link or payment or whatever's like, that's where you'll get asked the most, what price is it? That's when oftentimes people just go, "Yeah, it's like £150 to £300 a month, depending on what you get and stuff." And that's when sales guard comes up, they ignore you. The biggest point is just being fucking patient. When somebody goes, "Troy, please, I really want to call right now. Like, can I please book in right now?" I'm like, "Dude, chill. My service is private invite only at the moment. I need to have a chat with you first to see if you're even a good fit for the team." Instantly, sales guard goes down and they start telling you more about them. That's what you need. You need this information to qualify the call. So that's the game changer, I suppose let's go into Dubai. Less about business and stuff like that, right? Before coming to Dubai, I'm sure you heard so much different things about Dubai, how it's probably terrible. And what's that been like for you? Has it been completely untrue? Do you like anything about Dubai? Do you hate things about Dubai? What is it like?
Moving to Dubai is the best decision I've ever made. It's completely changed the game for me for everything. In terms of business, I'm a lot more focused out here, mainly because I'm living on my own as well, so I've got no distractions whatsoever. I can stay in my own routine, but it's also because there's so many people succeeding out here and you learn so much, even from going to the gym. For example, first time I spoke to you, I'd seen you in the barbers, and I walked into the barbers. Like, everyone's in the same environment. Yeah. And
it's very small, isn't it?
Yeah. So I knew you were doing well, so I was like, right, let's have a chat with you and see what you're doing, basically. But that's what it's like. You go to the gym and you see other coaches doing really well. You have little chats and you gain a lot of knowledge from them. But yeah, I love Dubai, mainly because of that. There's a lot of successful people here, so you learn a lot. It's really inspiring seeing other people do well. You're surrounded by wealth, so you're seeing nice cars, you're seeing nice apartments, villas, and it just gives you that mindset to progress further. Also, the sun. I love the sun.
Sun's the best.
Yeah, I love summer. I've always, the whole way through my life, hated winter. Always been a summer kind of kid, really. So that's why I moved out to Marbella when I first got into into kind of coaching, and then now I have summer all year round, apart from Christmas when I go home. So I'd say the people, the sun, the gyms, nutrition's good, and also service. Everything here is easy. It's comfortable.
It complements a business owner's life.
It's amazing, yeah, because you can get someone to come and clean your apartment. You can get someone to wash your clothes, iron your clothes. You can get them to do everything. And that's not in kind of a snobby way. It benefits business, because if you delegate time to... If I was spending time washing my clothes and cooking my food, I would definitely not be in the position I'm in now. Because it's allowed me to fully focus. And I was speaking about this to Sean a minute ago, is that with myself, everyone works differently, but I lock in for 6 to 8 weeks or maybe 8 to 10 weeks of literally work, sleep, eat, sleep, work, train. And that's all I do for that amount of time. And then I reward myself, and I might go out drinking for a few weekends. And then I'm like, right, I'm bouncing back again, and I'm locked back in. Whereas so many people, they have a little bit of work, a little bit of chill, a little bit of going out drinking.
It's like a Monday to Friday breakdown, isn't it? And then Saturday, Sunday, they just completely fuck everything up. Exactly,
yeah. And they never progress. But I feel like if you lock in for 8 to 10 weeks, all kind of work related, work, and then you have a few weeks where, not a few weeks, you still work Monday to Friday, but you have a few weekends out when you're drinking, and it might knock you back a little bit. You're then a bit low in energy, you're a bit like, right, I need to bounce back. And then you grind even harder for the next 8 to 10 weeks. I feel like that's better off than rather than going the occasional night out here every single weekend, basically, yeah.
Absolutely, because it just breaks your routine, it breaks your focus, it breaks even your sleep schedule as well. Like, there's so much different things that are affected.
Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker myself, just because I grew up in a household that had drink in it, and it's just, I don't know, it just kind of turned me off a tiny bit.
Yeah.
My version of like de-wind is like trips. It's like going and seeing the world. Like, for an example, I've grinded. When did I come back from Lapland? Was that my last holiday? Yeah, Lapland, just after Christmas. So about December 31st, I locked the fuck in up until June 28th. You know, so that's a fucking decent spirit. It's like 25-week lock-in period. And then I'm going to USA for 3 weeks, and I probably won't take any calls. I'll just be fucking chilled. There'll be nothing going on. And it's just like a mental relief. If you work 52 days or 52 weeks a year, you're going to be fucked, you know?
Yeah.
In regards to, I suppose, you know, your journey right now, fitness-wise, what type of things make you happy? You know, like when you see this level of success, you achieve income goals, you know, what makes you happy? Is it cars, is it watches, like, or is it just being secure, helping family? Well, what's your motivation for money?
So I've never been into materialistic things. I've never worn any designer gear, anything like that. It's never really appealed to me, and I wouldn't get satisfaction from it. So it's more feeling secure in myself and knowing for my future that I am secure. So when I do eventually settle down, which I haven't yet, which I probably need to soon. Once I do, once I do get a missus, I can look after them for the rest of their life, and I can look after family, and eventually I can retire my parents. And I know that if my family, if my mum or my dad or any relatives get ill, I know I can look after them. That's what makes me feel good, is that I'm relaxed with anything that goes wrong. I can help, basically. It's nothing materialistic. It's more just looking after family and looking after people who are close to me. Yeah,
that's the biggest thing, man. Is being able to offer security. You know, we grew up in I'm presuming the fact that you're speaking about your mother, I don't know, a loving household, right? You grew up with a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and from that point, if your main motivation is just giving back and ensuring that they can enjoy the rest of their life to top quality, never have to worry about anything, that's my main motivation too. And I feel like when you put all materialistic things aside, I feel like that's when you become a very, very high achiever, because your goal is so much more than a fucking watch, or your goal is so much more than, I don't know, a new Ferrari or something like that. Because once you get that thing, what's next? You're just like, oh yeah, next car, you know, or you just get fucking lazy. So it's very important to have things like personal, I suppose, financial achievements that are going to help.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
In regards to, I suppose, somebody watching this, man, that is thinking about joining the Trojan Scaling Circle and is a bit on the fence about it, whether it's just going to be like another mentorship or whatever is like that, what would you say to them? Purely honest.
I'd say do it 100%. And I've recommended guys to you because I know that you're going to produce them results. So like, I'm so confident with that. If they put the work in, you're going to produce them results. But I would say to them that you've got to put the work in. Whereas if someone comes to me and I know their personality, and I know they're really, really lazy and they're not going to put the work in, I probably wouldn't recommend them to you. Yeah. But anyone who is got the right mindset, you're going to grow their business loads. And I'm 100% confident with that, with your service.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for that. In regards to, I suppose, if they wanted to keep up to date on your journey, what's your content steals from your content?
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Ollie Rhoda on Instagram. It's the same for TikTok, same for Facebook.
Okay, appreciate it. Go drop a follow. I'll put all the links in the description. And if you're a fitness coach that wants to earn more or achieve more or impact more, whatever the current struggle is right now, very confident that I can help or keen to at least have a chat about it. I will leave a link in the description where you can book a completely free one-to-one consult with me. No sales call, just a genuine chat. From that point, we'll see if we'll be able to help you out. Other than that, if you did, I suppose, get any type of information, which I'm sure you did, drop it down. What was your biggest takeaway from this video? Subscribe to the channel, like the video. With that being said, we'll see you all in the next one.